and welcome to the Big 12 Mafia Holy Rivals Show. I am your co-host, Nathan Bomber Brown. With me today is we got the whole cohort with me. We're going to be doing picks and news and everything else. And so we're welcome to a Friday evening show. We appreciate everybody being here, spending a little bit of time with us. Hopefully we can entertain and probably supply with some information you guys can use as we go into, what is this, week 11? Which is just crazy. I can't believe we're already week 11.
It's winding down.
Ute, tell us how your week went. How you doing?
It's been a fantastic week. I've been excited all week talking smack to you Washington fans, just telling them how the Utes are going to clip them tomorrow and everything, just giving them a heads up so they're not too upset. And just checking out too this Michigan news. I love it, guys. I love this. I just love seeing justice done, and this is the first aspect of the justice.
Wow. Okay.
It needed to happen.
Okay.
And part of it's happened, and now just the full-on penalties here for the bowl ban and everything coming down by the NCAA. But I'm so proud of the Big Ten.
Big prediction.
You know what? It needs to happen for all the cheating that's gone on.
I could argue that.
Anyway, so I'm very pleased today. So happy Friday to you all and stuff, and tough luck if you're a Michigan fan. Just don't cheat anymore, okay?
Ute is in the house, everybody. Clap, clap, clap. All right. Immaculate, I know you're jazzed up. We're not ready to dive into your news quite yet, but do you want to give a quick buzz to everybody so they know what we're going to be talking about?
Well, I'm sure before we get into that, we'll still have plenty of talk about Michigan. That one hell of a story today. But in terms of what I'm a little bit irritated by is what's going on with the CFP.
Right.
Why are they Friday news dumping this little bit of info? And this little bit that they dumped within the dump to sneak in. So we'll go into that more when the time's right on the show. But that is definitely something I'm looking forward to getting into with folks.
I can't wait for it. And Moen, you bring up the rear of our little train here. How did your week end up, and what are you thinking about going into this weekend?
My week ended up fine. I'm just slate of great games coming out this weekend. Let's see if anybody can hang on or if anybody can upset somebody.
Yeah, that's fair. Before we get into stuff, I would just want to say, first of all, I got another BYU jacket. My wife let me buy a BYU jacket the last time we were at the game. I haven't shown you guys that, so I'm really proud of this. I don't know why people don't or BYU doesn't do the royal and white for everything. Just get rid of the navy. I've never been – black is okay, white's okay, but navy is where it needs to be at. Royal is where it needs to be at. I need to show off my – Iowa State donated shirt. Everybody see that? Iowa State. That was sent to me. I want to make sure I give proper credit to Gary Welter. Obviously, he sent it to me as a little bit of a rub because Iowa State and BYU play tomorrow. But I really appreciate you sending this to me, Gary. We'll integrate it to more of the display behind me. But it really makes me feel good when I get stuff from every school and every corner of the country. I've gotten Oklahoma State stuff. I got Oregon State stuff. I got a Florida State item. I mean, it's just awesome. So if you feel like you want to give me something and have me display it, a la Golden Blue Dude, I'm going to do that. So please let me know. Send me a DM on Twitter, and I'm happy to share it with the world to show kind of how good of fans you really are. Iowa State, I'm looking forward to seeing you play tomorrow. And there you go. It's a cool logo. All right. Before we dive into everything, let's say hello to the first people in the house. Timothy Green is the first one to post. He says, hello, Big 12 Nation. Let's go. He's ready for basketball and football. Let's see here. Timothy Green also says, I would just like to say I always enjoy watching your shows. Always honest and packed full of great content. You're a fan from West Virginia. Good luck with the rest of your games. Thank you very much. Thank you, Tim. Conundrum's in the house. Nathan Campbell is here. Immaculate and Wild Ute posting some links in there with Moen. Casting for Chrome is in the house early. Good to see that. Glenn, who's in the Philippines, he says, good morning from the Philippines. Feeling better every day. A win would make recovery so much easier. Let's go, Cougs. Let's go, Cougs. And
get a win. Yeah, absolutely.
And Glenn, I want to let you know, I was checking. For some reason, you're not showing up as a paid subscriber. I know you are. I went in, looked on YouTube. You're still in there. So it's something to do with StreamYard. I just didn't want you to take it personal. You don't see that little icon next to your name. And if you have questions about that, send me a note. Eugene is in the house. Daniel Gygax is here. Nathan Campbell again. Let's see. PSU Nitwit. PSU Nitwit says, here we go. Let's do this. I appreciate that
That's
a
a
lot.
man that's excited about that Michigan penalty. You and I, I know Moen is too.
About that in detail for sure. Mothprof says, good evening, gents. Free JMU. Let them play. I would love to have. What do you guys think about that? We haven't talked a lot about it.
Mhm.
It's kind of a smaller story, but what do you guys feel about that? I think James Madison should be able to qualify.
Yeah, it's an
it's
old ass rule.
So archaic.
Yeah,
That's a good squad this year too.
I think
They
it
are
was
very good.
kind of like
Oh, yeah.
back in the days. It was like so if there's like a really good team down below, you wouldn't just go grab them and bring them up or whatever. I don't know.
Right.
But at this point in time, like who cares? Like if they get into a regular bowl, they earned it. This is silly.
Yeah, I completely agree. And you know what? They're playing big. They're trying to do everything they can to step up. So you can't hold that
Yeah.
against them.
You want those kids to have some benefit of of putting on a show like that.
Absolutely true. Sarge, Utah fan in Florida. He says, hey, everyone, I actually made it on time. Thank you so much for being here,
What's
Sarge.
up, Sarge?
I can't wait to meet you. Next time you're up here in Salt Lake, we'll get together and we'll go out for lunch. The three of us will go out and eat.
And happy Veterans Day for
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you very much for recalling that. That was in my notes, and I skipped right over it. Yes, Veterans Day for all those that have family and friends. I want to tip my hat. I'll take my hat off to you. We're here because of the veterans and not accept them. And my grandfather was a vet, and I do nothing but show recognition for their sacrifices.
Yeah.
You guys want to say anything else to that?
Yeah, just thank you for your service. Seriously, this is your day, so
Agreed.
appreciate it.
Get a couple more in here. OPD Don says immaculate 2 shows in a row on the SmackDown with Iowa State. You know what he's talking about there?
I think it's because you're showing the shirt twice in a row. I don't know if maybe because you're showing off Iowa State and I'm an Iowa fan.
Oh, okay. That's not the purpose.
But I'm like,
But
you'll see after that. I'm like, it doesn't matter. We already beat them this year.
Oh, there you go. Billy Tuesday says, I'm excited too. All right.
About that Michigan ban.
I bet that's true. Absolutely. All right. Let's get into the picks. We're going to do those, and then we're going to do the news. So let me bring up the picks so everybody can see kind of what we're going for. Last week, obviously, was a big week for a lot of us. And then there's a couple that didn't do so well. So we're going to try to wrap that up and get better records this week. So are you ready, Immaculate?
I got it. We're good.
Okay.
Whenever
all right.
you guys are ready.
Let's start off with Texas Tech at Kansas. Kansas has to lay 3.5.
I'm going Kansas. The Jayhawks. Can I get a squawk there, Moen?
I love it.
I've been picking against the Jayhawks a lot this year, and I've learned my lesson. So apologize to all you Jayhawk Nation and everything, but I think KU gets the win here. I love Bean, and let's keep this thing rolling. Texas Tech has just had a tough season from the expectations at the beginning of the season.
Right.
It's been tough, but I think KU gets this one done, beats the spread.
Before we go to everybody else, I did want to make a note. I see Casting for Chrome says Kansas. If you guys will write down your picks and send them to me in a DM, when we review these next week, whether it's Tuesday or Wednesday, I absolutely will read your scores on the air. So if you want to participate, just write down your picks and then DM them to me tonight so that I have them for tomorrow. All right. Anyways, Moen, what do you think?
Give me Kansas all day. At home, Kansas. Big.
Okay. Immaculate.
Yeah, this is one of those where, if we had picked this at the beginning of the year, I bet you we'd all pick Texas Tech. But to see how this has come down now, it's kind of hard to go against Kansas. I hope they don't look past this Texas Tech team. I think it's one of those teams that's not living up to its potential. But, yeah, Kansas has got a good string going at home. I don't think they're going to have a letdown at home. So, Kansas.
BYU's played both teams. I have great respect for both teams. I'm going to go with Kansas. They're at home. And like you said, I learned my lesson not to pick against them. So I don't want to lose, and I'm on a streak, so I want to keep that going. All right, let's go to Tennessee laying 2 at Missouri. Ute?
I'm going Missouri in this football game, and the reason is Tennessee is one of the most overrated teams in the nation.
Yep.
I've been saying that all year. Moen's been saying that all year. I just don't. I don't know, there's something off with Tennessee. That's lost too much from last year. Missouri's having a great run this year. It's a home game. I think Missouri is a good team, so give me Missouri straight up.
Ooh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's going in strong. I like it. Moen?
Yeah, I like Mizzou in this one too. They played Georgia tough. Tennessee, Milton is still up in the air, so I'm taking Mizzou.
Yeah, how good is Tennessee? Are they maybe
He's
top
so
25 good?
The
but-
QB is so uneven that, some weeks he comes out and you think he's great. Next week he looks like just pure amateur, our high school level QB.
Terrible in the second half. Like, it seems like every single time if they do anything good, it's in the first half, and in the second half, the other team changes and Tennessee doesn't change. So, yeah, they're like a first half team, and as he says, he's not very consistent.
Okay. I'm going to take Missouri, and I do think Tennessee is overrated big time. I don't think there's a question about that. Miami at Florida State. Florida State 14 and a half.
Holy smokes.
It is in Tallahassee, but 14 and a half. I'm gonna take Florida State. I'm gonna lay the points.
Wow.
Yep.
You're taking Florida State, huh?
I am, yeah.
How about you, Immaculate? Who you going with?
See, I'm trying to find one that I can gain on Bomber here, and
Hey, quit playing the strategy over there. Just stay from your gut.
that's impossible. I cannot not think strategically, but at the same time, I got to go with the same pick. I think Florida State's going to take this one pretty handedly at home. I just think in every facet they're a better team than Miami.
There you go. Moen.
I am going to take Miami with the points.
Ooh,
it's
okay.
a rivalry game. I think
Yes.
these teams get up for rivalry games. I don't see Florida State beating them by 15 points. I think Florida State will win. I just don't think it's going to be the blowout that the bookies have it.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
with Moan on this one. I'm going with Miami. This is the wide right game, y'all.
Yes, it is.
And no one said that for many, many years, but
It's
really,
true.
like, hey, we might run into a situation where we get a wide right here, and if that's the case, then Miami's going to win versus spread. Rivalry game. I don't care where it's at. Give me Miami.
Very good. I love it. Got some juice in some of these picks. All right, we'll do Utah at Washington. Washington's 9.5, and Utes going to be last. So
Okay.
I'm going to take. Oh my hell! I'm going to go right before you. You guys pick. Immaculate. What are you going to
See. All right. See, I have to ask the question. Who was it that Utah played where they just got kind of beat up bad? It was like 6 points to 30
Oregon
something.
State.
They lost to both the Oregon schools. Those
Yeah,
are the only
Oregon
two
and
losses.
Oregon.
Recently was at Oregon though, right?
Yeah,
was
2 weeks
Oregon.
ago it was at Oregon Ducks.
And was it
later.
at Oregon?
No, that was at Salt Lake City, Rice Cycle Stadium.
Yeah, see, when I look at that, and I think Oregon and Washington being pretty similar, and this is at Washington. Sorry, brother, but I'm going to have to go Washington on this
Got to
one.
do what you got to do.
Yeah, I know. You know what? I wouldn't mind losing this one, but yeah, I cannot. I think this is where Bomber's going, and I can't let him get me on this one.
Okay, Moen. What do you think?
I agree with Immaculate. I think after the absolute beatdown by Oregon, it's hard to pick a top 5 opponent in Washington to not cover. But I think this will be closer than people think. But I'm taking Washington. I think Utah will get some points on the Washington defense. So.
I'm going to take Utah on the points.
Why is
But I
that?
think-
All right.
I think Washington wins the game, but Utah covers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you guys can guess who I'm taking here.
Yeah, I'm already writing it down. Gotcha.
Here's the thing, okay? So we talked about this on Tuesday. Whenever it gets quiet, in around
Right.
Ute Nation, and whenever this team gets focused, there's not a lot of circus act. Like you're in for like a really really physical good game. This team has been counted out all week. I love that, guys. As a Ute fan, as a 20 plus year Ute fan, when your back's against the wall, no one's giving you a shot. This team always plays and punches up, always. And knowing the Pac-12 always yields losses in the worst places. Washington's primed for a CFP run, and this is where they're going to stumble here. So Utah's going to get this game straight up and everything. It's going to be a back and forth game, but Utah's going to get up a little early, up on Washington a little early. It's going to be a comeback, and I think Utah actually wins going on a 2-point conversion in this game. I'm 32-31 in this game. And I think it's going to be an absolute slugfest. But I really think the Utes are going to play one of the best games of the year. Again, no one really in the media is giving them a shot. Everyone's saying Washington's a shoe-in for the Pac-12 championship, CFP. No, this is the back-to-back conference champion, and they're playing for pride here. And it's time to get this one. So I think it's going to happen. A lot of the Ute fans think so too. Sarge, you're out there. Sarge believes too.
It's the way you should be. You're a fan. That's what you're supposed to do. That's good stuff.
And it's true that Oregon home game was an absolute circus for you guys there. So
they weren't focused.
That's a fair point. That looking at that ending might be because it was a circus. But yeah.
All right. So that's all of us, right? We made it through those, Immaculate. Okay.
We're good.
Iowa State laying 7.5 at BYU. I'm going to take BYU in the points. Ute?
Night game. Yeah, I'm taking BYU. Night game. It's going to be cold. I'm giving the Cougars in this with the points. As far as the winner, it's going to be close. Yeah, the winner of this game, like it's going to be coming down to like a field goal. I can totally see that in this type of game. So I like BYU though in the points.
Moen.
Vampires.
Okay, that's BYU.
BYU are vampires.
Wait, what's the deal with the vampire thing? Will you give a little bit more context on what that means?
Well, they only come out at night.
Yeah,
they only come out at night.
That's the only time they come out and play well is not.
Yeah, the only time they play well is at night.
Didn't they play at what night at West Virginia last week?
Technically, West Virginia, that was a day game in Utah.
Right. Under Utah vampire
I'm teasing.
time, it was different.
I'm teasing.
So.
I thought that night would work last week, and it didn't work at all. So
a home night.
You know what? We've got a new quarterback. They've got new energy down there. They had a players-only meeting. Utah's been through a couple of those in the last several years where the players just said, we're not going to allow this to go, and you want more like this. So when you hear good things like that about your program, they care, right? These players care, and they're doing some self-coaching. So that's what I've got to believe in. I've got to believe in the night game thing, the passion, and it is so loud down there. I looked to try to get tickets. The cheapest ticket I could find was $150.
Wow.
A ticket.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, I just couldn't find one cheap enough for you and I to go, but we'll do that. We will get to a night game, I promise.
All right.
Immaculate, did you pick?
No, I was quietly waiting to see if I was going to have to say this out loud.
Okay.
This is tough because I am really right now, I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of negative on BYU, what we've been seeing. But point is, it's at home. It's a night game. Can't ignore how they've been. It's Iowa State. You're going to find out. Like these late season games against Iowa State, you say because it's cold up there, it ain't going to bother them. But 7.5, you have a whole touchdown lead in a win, and those points, I think that kills me because Iowa State's not that explosive. And I'm going to have to go BYU. I don't know if BYU wins, but I don't think that they lose by more than a single touchdown. So I guess I'm going to go BYU.
Okay. USC, Oregon. Let's start with you, Immaculate.
Oregon.
I forgot to say, Oregon's laying 15.5.
Doesn't matter. Okay. Oregon's going to smoke them. I don't even want to go into saying why and the psychology of it and everything, but USC is not coming into that game ready for it, and Oregon is going to smoke them.
A better question: does USC just quit the rest of the season? What's their incentive to play?
Yep.
They
After
might.
I could see them losing all of the rest of their games.
Yeah, I think that team starts to give up on it.
That defense quit before the season. So
Yeah.
This Oregon team, they're kind of mean. Like they're once
nasty.
they start to taste that blood, they're just they want to embarrass USC.
Agreed. Moen.
Yeah, give me Oregon. Oregon's going to win big.
Okay, you.
I want to pick USC, but I just cannot. I mean, it's just a clear Oregon in this. You just think that it's going to be physical. They're going to dominate USC. USC is going to score some points, but not nearly as many as Oregon. Oregon's going to tattoo them for sure. Give me Oregon.
I'm going to take USC in the points.
All right.
Okay.
There we go.
Here we go. Get my lead
USC
back.
USC in the points.
Watch the backdoor cover.
The backdoor
it's
cover.
It's going to happen, man.
I think that USC only has, this is one of the last 2 games they have. I think UCLA is the last game, maybe? Yeah, because they played early.
Yeah, it is.
Week 0.
Yep.
So, yeah, USC is about to wind it down.
We'll find out. They fired the coach. He was the biggest cancer.
The Grinch.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I could be wrong, obviously. Ole Miss at Georgia, 10.5.
I'll go first in this one. Yeah, Georgia's going to absolutely hammer Ole Miss.
Yeah.
I think this is going to get real ugly and stuff. I think Ole Miss is complete fool's gold. And the fact that they're 10 in the nation and everyone's talking about them like sneaking in possibly to the CFP, this team is not nearly good enough. They're going to Georgia. I just don't see them keeping it close. I think Georgia just gives them the hammer job. So I'll take Georgia in the points.
Okay, Moen?
Yeah, the only reason Ole Miss is number 10 is so they could feed them to Georgia, so Georgia could jump.
Yep.
That's
right.
the only reason. Georgia big.
100.
Georgia big.
I like
100.
that a lot. That's absolutely true. Immaculate.
The most overrated team on the top 25 going against the most underrated team in the top 25.
Yeah.
In that order. 10.5, Georgia at home with this disrespect coming in. They're making a they're going to show up on this one. They're definitely going to victimize Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss could drop. I'll make this call. 8 spots after this. It's going to be that ugly.
8 spots.
8 spots. So Georgia big.
Well, I think Georgia wins. I definitely think they cover that 10.5. Probably be somewhere between 17 and 20 points, I think. And I agree with you. I think Georgia has something to prove.
Oh, yeah.
People have been talking bad about them all season, believe it or not, even though they've been number 1 or 2. And people are still saying crazy stuff about them. So
this is a big comparison for them to Alabama.
Right.
And it seems like Georgia's getting hot right now. Based on how their play is. Like, and
what they did to Tennessee should be an example.
Bowers was a crutch because he could just where's Bowers at?
I
was going to throw to Bowers, but without Bowers, it was a test. We get to find out how good the rest of the team is, and guess what? They're Georgia.
And I think that Bowers is going to come back this season.
Correct? He is, and they're going to be.
Is he really take it back?
Yeah.
I love it.
He might come back to this game.
Heisman.
I don't know for sure. If he's
At this point in time, I got to say, I think Georgia might be the in line to get a 3rd.
That would be fantastic. History making.
Oh, I don't like it,
right.
but it is what it is.
All right, so you and I'll go first on Michigan, Penn State, and we'll let the Big Ten guys fight for who goes after that.
We can let Moen go last if he wants.
Sure, sounds good. I've been watching this all day, and unfortunately, I think Penn State is going to be a bit in a bad spot. I know PSU nitwits out there hoping that I pick Penn State and the points. I think Michigan's going to they're just angry. Michigan's going to play angry. And I feel bad. It's in Happy Valley. Mm-hmm. That's probably the biggest advantages. That stadium is incredible, especially if they play at night.
It's a day game.
Oh, it's not a night game. Okay, yeah, I'm going to take Michigan.
I am going to take Penn State in this football game. I think Michigan will have that mentality to play crazy, upset, and everything. But that will last for a couple minutes in the first quarter. Then the game will stabilize and it'll be a normal football game. And I just think that Penn State, it's their time. It's been their time for a long time here. This is a home game on a Michigan team that's coachless. I think that Michigan's going to make some key mistakes in the fourth quarter because of the lack of having Harbaugh on the bench. I really do. I think Penn State ekes this game out super tight and stuff, but I think Michigan's going down.
And just really quick before we go with Immaculate, PSU Nitwit says Penn State, they're pissed off too.
Oh yeah,
I don't
Penn
doubt
State's
that.
time.
Penn State's being disrespected all up and down. I just think of the two, who has the more anger in them.
Yeah, I think Michigan up front.
I think Michigan is going to be way more angry
because they're a team with their backs against the wall. They're like, us against the world type mentality.
Yeah.
For sure. That's going to be the mentality. But the thing is, how long does that last?
Well, we ran into that with BYU did last week at West Virginia. When we ran into that team last Saturday, they were angry. Yeah. They played angry and they bullied BYU up and down the field. I can see that happening again.
I just think that, I think this is where we see Michigan fall, and I think they're going to lose this game and to Ohio State.
Very fair. Immaculate, did you pick?
Yeah, I'll go next here. This is one where I'm going to have to pick against my heart. And sorry, PSU Nitwit out there. I want to see Penn State win this, and I want to be wrong.
I actually want Penn State to win, too. I want to be on record.
But
I would like them to win.
This team, I don't know if folks realize this. I don't know if you know this, but Michigan had a judge waiting. And the moment that this came down, they got him to sign a TRO. Harbaugh is going to be
Michigan?
Harbaugh is going to be on the sidelines.
Oh.
And this team, as you said it,
wow.
We can all have our own feelings on it, but that team, from their perspective, they think the entire world is out to get them. And they almost had their coach taken away from whom they seem to, deify to a degree. And now he's going to be with there, and their school is ready and had this going, and they couldn't have him be taken. They're going to be rallying. If this was at home, Penn State at night, I might give them it.
The night game for sure.
I might give them that. But this Michigan team is going to become hungry, and I wish I'd seen more out of this Penn State team to think that they could win this. And that right now, I haven't seen it, but I hope I'm wrong. But I'm going
Immaculate.
Michigan.
What is a TRO? Curious.
Temporary restraining order.
Okay. Is that a done deal for sure? I hadn't seen any updates.
Well, that would be a court order, so that would supersede anything.
And they have 2 weeks. They have 2 weeks to fight it.
Yeah. So, but it counts for this week.
You're saying Harbaugh is going to be on the sidelines coaching that football game?
Unless something changes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not guaranteeing it, but to me right now it looks like he's going to be there.
Well, if that's the case, then I think Penn State wins even bigger.
There you go.
I like it.
Yeah, I think that this we talk about distractions, a circus, and everything. There's only
logically
so much circus
sense.
that you can deal with, and if Harbaugh's back on that sideline stuff, I think the circus is just even more bananas.
Penn State's gonna be loud.
Penn State's gonna be loud. They're focused. They didn't have all this crap going on the past month. I'm like, hey, guess what? Michigan's had their back against the wall the last 3 weeks. They're about to play a real team here that's hungry. That's a legit playoff contender. I think Penn State wins this game by a touchdown.
Very good. I love it. All right, Moen.
I wish we had seen better stuff out of Drew Aller this season.
That's it right there.
He is so inconsistent.
He's got so much talent.
That being said, Manny Diaz's defense has been very consistent.
It's true.
And they are turnover machines. They will go out. They are ball hawks. They will go get turnovers for you. And that's why I like Penn State to pull off the upset at home and beat Michigan.
What about this?
Oh, no.
PSU Nitwet says that Penn State's AD, Pat Kraft, is going to ban Harbaugh from the stadium.
Seriously, right?
We had this chat. I don't know if he's coming at this because we had this in chat for Greg's show, or if there's been something that's actually come out. But because we were jokingly saying that, well, the TRO, if Penn State decides they just want to ban someone from the stadium, I don't think they have a TRO for that ready to go.
Gee, that's crazy.
So
OPD
comes walking in and they just stop him at the door. But anyways, go ahead.
OPD Don says, I know no one wants to hear this, but Michigan is as close to a top 3 SEC offense and defensive line if they were in the SEC.
No doubt about it. I think he's nails on that.
I think
Michigan's
they're
a very talented team, elite in the trenches. Yeah, I mean, Michigan could win the SEC. They would win the SEC this year. They're a really good team.
Well, we'll find out.
Maybe
for
Georgia.
Sure.
Depends upon when they play Georgia.
Yeah, I still think Georgia's a better team, but I appreciate the fact you got Ohio State there too. So, all right, that's all the picks. You guys want to say anything else about these things before we move on to news?
Yeah, I don't know that they've got the temporary restraining order approved. I see they applied for it.
I saw some tweet about it that said that, but I don't have it offhand. I mean, maybe he won't be there.
I'm not
I don't
sure
know
what
if it really
Michigan's trying to
matters.
do here. Like, I mean, do they can we get in the rants about Michigan? Can we
Go
drink
ahead.
Michigan?
Yeah,
Just go
drop
right to
in.
It's so
Michigan. Yeah.
frustrating to see these Michigan fans and stuff think they're completely guiltless. Come on, guys. Like, these guys got caught cheating. Like, they were doing
Well, and I
something.
mean, the judge is a UM lecturer, adjunct professor at Wayne State, and he got his law degree from Michigan. So
That's how it
big
works.
shocker
What do they
there.
think's going to happen if Harbaugh's on the sideline? Do they think they can escape punishment for this cheat? Seems like it. Like, how sullen do you have to be?
They won't install it until they can win a national championship.
I
Whether
think they
it's
think
taken
this is their
away or
year.
not. Yeah.
I mean, like, that's not going to work. That's a great idea and stuff, but there's no way they're going to win the national championship with all the stuff going on.
I mean,
Even if they're the best team, there's no way.
if you're a good coach, you could use this. You could use this as fuel in your
How
locker
in the
room.
world could we allow a team that did illegal activities for the first few games of this season to get to the playoff and win a national championship? Those wins that they had earlier this season need to be vacated.
An imperfect system. And that's what's going on right now in all kinds of courtroom battles about the NCAA. You're not wrong. And it's
I mean, it's really hard to even see, guys. Like, if Harbaugh's on the sidelines, if there's no penalty and they win the championship this year, it's going to be completely disgusting. These cheats, letting these cheats win, getting into the playoff last year. I think people are tired of them. I'm certainly tired of them. I don't want to see Michigan's name for a long time. Seriously, they need like a serious bowl ban, and get taught a lesson for what they've done here. I mean, they have no idea. They don't care, the fans and everything. I've heard them all day long just squawking and say, oh, Connor Stallions, he was a rogue guy. They don't understand that the program benefited from this illegal scouting activities, in-person scouting, electronic scouting, whatever you want to call it, right? I mean, like, it was completely illegal. You've seen the record since he's been doing this the last 3 years and everything, and they've clearly benefited. There is a strong correlation between the wins and what they've been doing, and it's completely cheap. It needs to be stopped.
I 100% agree with you. I think you're right. I think in an all
he's
legal
100%.
world, it would be. Yeah.
Yeah, you're 100% right. But I mean, there's nothing. I mean, nothing we can do about it, but more or less bitch and complain, because the NCAA is the one who has to drop the hammer, and the NCAA is not going to get it done this season.
What other sport in the world would allow a team like this to win a national championship, possibly? In the world, I'm talking about.
Isn't college
in the world.
sports unique? Isn't college football unique?
It seems like
corrupt
some corrupt soccer league, and like.
I think it is.
Well,
this is bunk,
if not
guys.
for the New York Giants, the New England Patriots would have done it. They played in the Super Bowl the same year they had Spygate. So, I mean, it's not unprecedented.
Look, this is the NCAA in a nutshell. It's just, this is so visible and everyone is so into it that everyone's paying attention. But like, when you look at the ASU situation, they supposedly haven't even begun to interview witnesses.
Herm Edwards?
Yeah, they haven't even gotten into it yet. And this is probably going to get prioritized and put right up to the front of the line. But this is the NCAA, and people forget about this stuff, and no one cares, and they don't do anything because it's a political juggernaut of, interpolitical relationships between schools there. It's just, it's just not very efficient, and there's nothing set up for something like this. This is a precedent-setting situation, and there's no policies laid down for dealing with this. The Big Ten, they did what they could do. In fact, they went further. And I put out a little tweet about there. It's like, watch for what they do, because if anything more than 2-game suspension and $10,000 fine, it requires the Big Ten Executive Committee to approve it. 3-game suspension that required the executive committee to approve it. So this was a statement towards Michigan more than it was a statement at Harbaugh. And it comes from the rest of the conference. They approved this whole thing. So I know from the outside, it's like, oh, not enough was done. But I'm telling you, on the inside of this, the whole conference came at Michigan with this. That's why you have them saying, oh, well, we'll go somewhere else and blah, blah. They're just, throwing a tantrum because they're used to being in charge.
Michigan's not above the sport. Michigan's acting like they're above the sport of college football in college sports. They're not above the sport. They need to be handled, guys. Like there's like an obstinate child that's having a little tantrum over there after they broke serious rules and benefited greatly. Like this is the craziest thing that they might have a chance to win a national champion. I've never seen anything like this before. And like in any sport around the world and stuff, I cannot believe we're even having this conversation. Like this is completely unjust.
College athletics.
Daniel Gygax gives us a $2 super chat. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you, Daniel.
He says, can the CFP do their own ban? I think I know the answer, but what do you guys think?
They can and they won't. They've already come out and said that they're not going to handle it.
Yeah, because they technically can, but remember, all the people who are running the CFP are also high ups in institutions that are part of the NCAA. So that means if they get too obviously trying to jump ahead of the rest of the NCAA, some of those other schools, and the NCAA is a lot of schools and a lot of different people who are on these committees, just to be spiteful, they might come after some of those schools. So no one's going to really put their neck on the line for this. As ugly as that is to say, that's just kind of the reality. I don't expect it. But if Michigan loses to Penn State or Ohio State, I do expect that committee to drop them hard because they'll have an excuse.
Anybody else want to speak to that before I go to the next comment?
Yeah, I think these guys are nails. I think that they'll end up getting in. I mean, they've got the ability to vote them out, but they won't.
Right.
Because I mean, they've got a responsibility to put the 4 best teams in the nation in the playoff, right? So it's really kind of outside of their hands. You're putting a lot of authority into their hands, which they shouldn't have. So the Big Ten's done the right thing. I'm not saying they haven't done the right thing. And the fact that Michigan's fighting this though is really what upsets, right? Like that Harbaugh, like a restraining order to get them on the sidelines. Like they've done nothing wrong. That's the problem, is they act like they've done nothing wrong. They won't admit to the guilt.
Their complaint is that they were caught cheating, but the methodology to catch them was wrong. So they don't dispute the fact that they cheated. They dispute the fact that you caught them using an underhanded way to catch them. So that right there should have told the world when you saw the complaints on Twitter from tons and tons of Michigan fans. If you're defending your school because they cheated and they got caught, you might want to look again and say, is that really what I want to be doing here? Because don't we all want a better, more even field for everybody? You're caught cheating, and you should admit it and move along. Cleveland Rocks, who's one of our paid members, says NCAA equals paper tiger, thus why they will be obsolete within a couple of decades. I think the NCAA for football is maybe 3 or 4 years away from, at least for the tier 1, the A4 leagues. I don't think the NCAA is going to have anything to do with it. What do you guys think?
No, I don't think the NCAA is going to be around for much longer, at least governing college football. Right. That's what we're talking about. Like, it really is going to be the conferences and some other entity that's created that's going to govern this. And it's much needed. Somebody needs more authority. Apparently the Big Ten Conference can't even stop Harbaugh from being on the sidelines, which is nuts. Like, if the Big Ten can't even stop them, the NCAA, these guys aren't above the sport.
Agreed. Right. And I think all 4 of us would like to see Penn State win. I would. Sure. I would love to see Penn State win.
Yeah, I'm rooting hard for Penn State. We are Penn State.
PSU Network, thank you so much. Holy smokes.
Yes, thank you
I'm
so
buying
much.
drinks tonight. Hey, cheers to you.
We're drinking tonight.
Cheers
Seriously,
to you.
Cheers to
thank you so
you.
much. Clap, clap, clap.
Oh, I like money. Yeah. I like money, though. I like money. I like money.
I like money.
Can't believe you like money, too.
That's for you, Immaculate.
Thank you so much, PSU Network. You've been a great addition to the Big 12 Mafia family, and we really, really appreciate it. Here's another one from Numbskull News. He says,
Oh,
for
gosh.
$1.99, thank you, Numbskull. I hope Michigan wins out. Delicious. So he's
Oh, you're bad,
You can count on Numbskull to stir the pot.
so
every
Numbskull. Are
time.
you just doing that just to stir the pot, or do you really think that Michigan deserves to stay in the CFP? If
No.
that's what you believe, the
I can
link
tell
is
you
in
what
the,
it is.
The link is in the Twitter channel. You can join us.
He's
If
a
you wanna defend
hardcore Big
Michigan-
12 guy. He wants to see the Big
Jump
Ten
on
burn.
Numbskull. I want to hear Numbskull's thoughts on this.
He wants to
Numbskull,
see
jump on. The link is in that channel, that Friday night channel, and join us and tell us why you want Michigan to win. I'm guessing I know why, but
Oh,
I'm not
yeah,
sure.
I'm pretty sure.
All right, let's move on while we're waiting for him.
Yeah.
Let's
Okay.
move on to what do you want to do next? The Ross Dellinger stuff?
Yes.
We
let
can
him
do
have
that
a
if you want me
rant.
to go
Okay,
in a little
let
deep.
me do that. Absolutely. Let me bring it up. There you go. And I believe that's the top one. Yep, that's the
The
top.
top one, and then there's the connected one after that.
Yep,
Do you have
it's
that
right
picture?
below it. It's right below it. It's right here.
Okay. Well, I guess you want me to go ahead and get in on this?
Yeah, please dive in.
As we can see here, Ross Dellinger has done his report. He does probably the biggest ones of these on CFP meetings after they happen, and a lot of the others just copy what he says. And yesterday, after the meetings, I made big notation that none of these kind of reports came out, but yet here they are. They're coming out today at the end of the Friday on what's called a Friday news dump. He's throwing this out there. And so what they're saying here is that during those meetings, they were going at it once again about 6+6 versus 5+7. Now, I actually think they might have come to a way to get around this. And in order to talk about that, we're going to have to look down at his next tweet that connects to this. And on this, he says, CFP leaders established a new policy requiring a conference to have 8 members for its champion to be eligible for an AQ, which is auto qualifier, in the 12-team playoff. It is an expected move that makes the champion of a 2-team Pac-12 ineligible for such an AQ. Now, his choice of words on this is very peculiar because he says CFP leaders. He doesn't want to tell you, for some reason, that it's commissioners. I mean, even if you look at the number of characters, I'm pretty sure he could still have gotten in commission on this. But that's given him the one little bit of leeway I can is that Twitter holds you to the number of characters that you can have on there. But that's a big difference to just say some leaders did this. You might think it was the board of managers. It wasn't. It was the commissioners, whom likely require a lower threshold for vote. Like, whereas the board of managers requires a unanimous vote, which is every single one of them has to agree. The commissioners on their managerial committee, which is the next step down, they kind of, once they have the guidance from the board, they can then go about, managing this and running this from their commissioner positions. They have made a policy. Now, I don't know why they're able to do that, and they don't require the board vote on that, because when you get back into the 6+6, 5+7, these very same commissioners made a agreed upon suggestion to the board to pass the 5+7. And what that means is that Oresco of the AAC has voted, okay, go ahead with 5+7. That means the commissioner of the MAC, whom we had heard from a different reporter yesterday, who said that the discussions were very heated, but that they had some, good things come out of it. All of the G5 commissioners have said, go to 5+7. This right here, as much as I don't like the ethics of it, or whatever you want to call it, was a very strategic move. What he has done by taking away the AQ from the pack, he has given Oresco and all the G5 what they want. And that is knowing that by removing the pack from that situation, the 5+7 is the same to them as the 6+6 with the pack. So they have the same ability to get into the playoff. And now Washington State and Oregon State it's in their best interest to now vote for the 5+7, because if they're not getting AQs, that's the 5 or the 6 at the start. They might as well have the 5+7, because then that's 7 positions that they could possibly vie for versus just 6. So with this one move by the commissioners or the CFP leaders, they have maneuvered Schultz, the president for Washington State, to basically, unless they have some way to fight this, that he's going to have to give in on the 5+7, and that they will then move forward and finish up with all their 24-25 business. If this holds, if this is all true, I don't know if it is or not. Ross certainly tried to bury this on a Friday news dump, so we'll see. But that's the reality of this. It looks like they have pulled this off, and they have maneuvered Schultz. So, congratulations, I guess. That was a pretty good move.
I posted the link in the comment section. You can read those tweets from Ross Dellinger. Those are his tweets. They're not ours. Just to be very clear, we didn't make this stuff up. It's him reporting that.
Yep.
Becky, go Huskies. Good to see you, Becky. Says it's basically checkmate, and it's definitely some 3D chess. There's no doubt about that.
And to add to that, though, what this has done is it has removed all, in my opinion, I know people are going to disagree with this, but they've taken away anything that might have driven Washington State and Oregon State to settle with their tax dispute. Because now, what are you going to do to them? The ramifications of not settling are basically the same now as settling.
Right.
Like there's no, well, okay, if we play nice, maybe we'll get our AQ spot and we can continue. That's gone. Poof. Goodbye. So at this point in time, why should they settle? I don't see any reason. If their only choice is to go work with the Mountain West or maybe the AAC, that's the case in both. So, as much as Becky and the Huskies, that is, in terms of the CFP moving forward, it kind of is what she says. But in terms of the PAC lawsuit, just the opposite. I think that now this is going to get ugly and dragged out. I could be wrong, but we'll see.
What does that mean for Oregon State and Wazoo as far as aligning or joining another conference, as far as the timelines, in your opinion, Immaculate?
Well, I've had some discussions on Twitter, and I think there's been enough proof shown to me, especially when it came straight from the mouth of Schultz himself, that they changed the payout structure. So it is changed from conferences to individual schools. I had someone explain to me that they didn't have the source to show me, but they explained in a very logical manner to me that they wrote down, codified every school that was in a power conference at the time gets those payouts. So Washington State and Oregon State are codified in that. So if that's true, it shouldn't matter what conference they go to. They'll still get a power conference payout. And I'm personally projecting that at about $20 million. Kind of easy to remember based upon where it's going to go. So they're still going to get a decent chunk of change. I think they'll still be able to cover things, but they're not going to keep up, because that's the same $20 million all the other power conferences are going to get, plus their conference payout, which if they're with the Mountain West, they're not going to get a big one. It's going to be somewhere between $5 to $10 million.
How long will that last for then, that money from the college football playoff going?
That's 2 years.
For 2 years.
Because then the 2026 is, I don't know. And honestly, I think that what happens in 2026, just my opinion, with the conference playoffs, is the G5s, or I could say G3, G4. I think they're going to have a lot of consolidation when this happens. They're actually going to have a better situation than they are now. Conference playoffs, there's a lot more room for supply, or it's demand heavy in the postseason. So if they have a conference playoff, they can probably get a TV network deal for that, it's better than now, but they're still going to be behind. So it's not great news, but the silver lining, I guess, is that, okay, you guys are codified it as a school with your power conference payout. So even if you go join a different conference, you're going to get paid more than the rest of your conference mates by the CFP.
Guys, let's talk about something here. We haven't talked about Oregon State and Wazoo for a while. Given what's going on right now, like we're talking, like Immaculate just laid out, given the Big 12 schedule over the next 4 or 5 years that's been out there, ACC schedule, what is best case scenario for Oregon State and Washington State today? Like, what's realistic best case scenario? What do you expect? What do they do? How do you guys see it playing out for Wazoo and Oregon State?
Anyone else want to go into that, or?
I still believe their only option to be in a power conference is the Big 12 or the ACC, but the timer now has been extended. The one thing we had hanging over everybody's head was this Damocles sword of the college football playoff negotiation, and that's basically been removed. So I think they have 2 years to find a better landing spot. Unfortunately, it sucks really bad, but they're stringing it out, and the longer it goes, the worse it gets for those two schools, as we've seen at Washington with all their financials.
Yeah.
How about you, Moan?
Yeah, I think they'll end up getting a settlement from the Pac-12. They'll accept that settlement, and it's everybody's waiting on the ACC to see what happens with the ACC. During that time, does the ACC need them to backfill? If they don't, they're probably going to end up in the Mountain West Conference, because I don't think the Big 12 has the interest in them at this point in time. I think the Big 12 is like everybody else, waiting on the ACC to see what happens with the ACC. So we're waiting for that buffet. We're not filling up on bread.
Yeah, I'm with you exactly. Actually, I think that the best case scenario for the Beavers, the most realistic best case scenario, I don't see it happening in the Big 12. I don't see it happening in the Big 10, the SEC. But if the ACC, in fact, disbands and schools jump, like we're expecting it to happen, and even schools jump to the Big 12, I think the remnants of the ACC might be interested in adding a Wazoo and Oregon State, and probably some American teams too, so that the remaining conference is probably the best chance for Oregon State and Wazoo to get into, an autonomous conference, and that would be the remnants of the ACC. It's really, like, for me, that's exactly how it could happen. Let's go down, Numbskull. How you doing?
Num?
Doing all right. What's up?
How you doing?
Well, just got off work through a bunch of crap traffic in DFW, so now that I'm out of it, I'm all right.
So you seemed like you had a few comments there about Michigan. Do you want to share them with us?
I hope they win out. Come on. It's just all about fun. This is supposed to be college sports, right? It's all about the money. It's all about fun. So let's have a little chaos. Let's have a little fun. I hope they beat everybody. I hope they win the damn title. That's what I hope.
Does it have anything at all to do, just even maybe a small amount, with how bad it might make the Big Ten look?
I don't have anything against the Big Ten.
Okay, I didn't know. I thought maybe that from a TCU angle.
No, I have something against every program that thinks their crap don't stink, and that's Michigan.
Yeah, that's true.
And I'm sorry, but the whole of college football, in some respects, does deserve to have that big dumpster fire shoved right up their butt. And Michigan winning it all will do that. Because what do you do then? Is it USC like in 2004 and you got to give back the title? I mean, that would be hilarious. I'd be laughing my butt. I'd be kicking back, watching my Cowboys, thinking of all the big stink of college sports that it deserves to have. NCAA is screwed up. Every single conference out there has screwed the pooch at one time or another. And they deserve it. They deserve it. Fans don't, but they do.
Let's talk about two other things. First, Immaculate. You never gave an answer on OSU and Washington State. Where do you think they end up?
Correct. Well, as I'll say that real quick to what he said, the NCAA situation, I think they're watching this Penn State game very closely. Now, just because they don't act fast, it doesn't mean they don't have the capability to. It just matters if they have the political will to do so. And if Michigan wins that game, we might see the NCAA come out and do something. We'll see. Now, back to the Oregon State situation, what I think their best chances are. I think that there's still a chance, maybe Big 12. But as I've always said, that's not because the Big 12 necessarily wants them, but because some kind of deal would have to be made to the Big 12 in order to get them. I've always thought, something like when the ACC schools move, if ESPN was to help with push some schools there, then the Big 12 would be willing to take the others. But I think that chance has gotten smaller now considerably. The ACC one, I'd almost say is maybe higher than the Big 12 now. And that's if what I think is Notre Dame's attempt to build this conference into what it wants, if that doesn't go well, if things don't look good, if some of the situation maybe doesn't affect the Ivy as much as I think it will, in terms of some of the other legal issues, then maybe they might need Oregon State and Washington State to come in to be part of a Western wing for Stanford and California. It's not optimal to what Stanford and California and all of them want. There's no way in hell. But it might be their best option. And so hold out for that. If not that, I think that they're best off actually then starting to talk to the AAC to build the next best coast-to-coast conference underneath, that power level. That's what I've always thought. Part of my G3 is actually that the Mountain West goes away one way or another in terms of largely merging up together with the AAC. So you add Oregon State and Washington State to that, and that is by far the best G-level conference in the country. You kind of have East-West wings, and then later more divisions. And finally, for folks who've been asking for my cat, she has decided to arrive. And so that's what I think. I think that you got to do something bigger. And I think that their talks with the Mountain West are simply about a scheduling agreement for at least the next year or two. For anyone who wants to see, this cat's messing with my screen.
At least your cat loves you.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So
Moen,
Immaculate. I think
hang on.
Immaculate's right about it. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Moen didn't give his opinion quite yet.
Sure, I think it's really kind of strange to think Dallas Cowboys will be playing relevant football second week of January.
That's what we're waiting on right there.
TCU was my second favorite college
It's February. That's the problem, sir.
Yeah. Well, let's see you get past the first round of the playoffs.
We can do that. We can't get any further than that.
But yeah, as far as the Oregon State, Washington State thing goes, I think they end up in the Mountain West. That's what makes most sense. I don't think the ACC devolves quick enough for them. They're going to end up in the Mountain West, which is, I know it's not optimal, but take a big cash settlement from the Pac-12, put that in your reserves, get your things straightened out for the future, so you don't have an Arizona situation where you're somehow lose $250 million.
Right.
Yeah. As far as Michigan, Penn State, nobody wants to see them go to the playoffs. Everybody wants to see Michigan eat a big pile of shit. I think Penn State's going to do it tomorrow. And I think if Penn State doesn't do it tomorrow, then Ohio State will do it 2 weeks in the game.
Let's go.
Michigan's won the last two, but let's keep an eye. Let's remember, in the last 20 years, Michigan's won 3 games against Ohio State.
Yeah.
It's 17-3. So this will be
Michigan by 20.
Yeah. Not going to happen.
Really quick before it's Ute's turn to talk here. Just really quick. Sarge, Utah fan in Florida, says they talking about the ACC. They have SMU now. The ACC has been saved. So everybody can sleep tight tonight knowing the ACC has been saved. Okay, Ute, go ahead.
I'll tell you what, like Washington State and Oregon State, they need to be rooting for mass uncertainty and havoc and realignment. Right. Yeah. Like it's already happened to them. We know what happened with the Pac and everything. But if the ACC falls apart, that is the optimal scenario where they can get back into a power level. Yep. And that's kind of more of a recent development that we've kind of talked about and everything. I mean, that really, they need to be rooting for something like that to happen soon so they can make that type of jump sooner than later and everything. So especially before joining the Mountain West, so it's almost like, how long do you want to wait that out though? Like, can you wait that out for a year? Can you wait it out for 2 years before joining up fully with the Mountain West? Can you have a scheduling alliance, just crossing your fingers it happens? Because I'm sure that the ACC, if it does disband, there's a lot of teams jumping ship. Like San Diego State would be interested in joining something like that too, you think? So Oregon State, Washington State, San Diego State, Boise State, SMU, right? Like, and so it makes sense, and that'd be a good place for Oregon State and Wazoo. I mean, that's what if I'm a Wazoo fan, that's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm
Absolutely.
playing for.
That's right.
You know,
you had a
you
question
think-
for somebody else, didn't you?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought you had another question. Sorry.
Go ahead, Immaculate.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you think about everything combined, say an Oregon State is getting their $20 million from the CFP, and they get into a conference and they can win it and go through and get to the CFP through that. That's another $8 to $10 million. And say if the AAC gets like a $10 million payout right now. So I'd say, this type of a combined conference, technically, I mean, they could still actually be making more than they're making right now, or they have been. It's still just not going to be on par with some of the schools that they used to be with that are starting to pull away from them. So that's the problem. It's the gulf is widening, but they're still going to be making more than they are now. So I don't know how much of a silver lining that is. They do have options. I feel kind of bad for them. I think that people are just kind of thinking that this isn't that big of a deal because it's being done to a university or whatever. But it could have some ramifications. We shall see. But like I said, they could still probably be making more than they're making now. It's just a matter of competitive nature.
As far as talking about the expanded playoff, are you guys supportive of 5-7 model, 5 automatic qualifying spots and 7 at-large spots? Is that something you guys think's best?
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think, Numbskull?
I don't know. I thought they were going to have to stay at 6-6 through 2024.
Oh, yeah, he wasn't here for our conversation. What just happened? They just made a maneuver. I don't know. Do you guys want me to go into that again for Numbskull?
Go ahead.
No, it's all right. You don't have to do all that.
Oh, this
It
is
has to
kind
do
of
with
like
great
the main
safety, I'm sure.
Just tell them where it ended up, Immaculate. You don't
the
have to
commissioners changed a policy somehow that made it so that you have to have 8 schools in order to have an automatic qualifier into the conference. You are killing me, Kat. Good Lord. And so that basically takes the Pac-2 out of automatic qualifiership for 24-25. And it seems that has been enough for the commissioners of the G5 conferences to all give their approval to move to the 5+7 situation. And that has gone to the board of managers. So I'm set in the next meeting in 2 months. We'll probably get the 5+7 because once the PAC's out of the situation, Oresco and all the other commissioners, they changed their mind because it's the same. 5-7 without the PAC is the same as 6+6 with the PAC to them. So yeah, it's going forward. It's going.
So basically, they're cool with Cinderella showing up. Just don't bring your ugly sister with you.
That's exactly what it's like.
Okay.
just don't take away our slipper. You can take away theirs.
Yeah.
Are you guys like? And it sounds like it, but I'm not sold on the fact that I think that a G5 school should be in the playoff every year.
No, I don't think they should either.
Like, because like a 5-7 builds that in, we're automatically G5 schools getting in right to the playoff, expanded playoff. But I'm of the mind that I would prefer 4-8. So the 4 automatic qualifiers for the autonomous conferences and 8 at-large spots. So if a G5 level team made a run and got into the top 12 as an automatic or as a at large, that they could get in. But I'm not of the mind that I want to see it the other way.
I think the biggest challenge you're going to have is that's if we stick with the right now it's 4, basically it's 65, 66 schools. If we disenfranchise the whole other part and they don't get access anymore, I could see where they would quit operating and cooperating with everything that they do back and forth with the college football playoff committee and all that other stuff. They could make it difficult and really force a breakaway. And I'm not sure anybody wants to go that far yet.
It kind of feels like we've already, it feels like we're kind of moving in that direction already.
We are definitely, right? Yes, I agree with you. Yeah.
I just don't know if, like, looking at the best G5 champ every year, if they warrant a playoff berth.
Great question.
I don't think so, and I know that's an unpopular take, but some years it's true. Like that, the Cincinnati team a couple years ago, Utah was undefeated. UCF, like an undefeated team, but not every year. Like that last year Tulane team, not sure they really warrant a playoff berth because they the best G5 team. So
I
I
think in
think
the
that if they
12
can get in the
team,
top
too.
12, then they
In
should
a
get
12 team. Because now we're talking Cinderella style, right? Like in a 4 team, no, probably not. But in a 12 team, does a third ranked team in a conference that's probably lost to at least 1 or 2 teams that are in the playoffs, do they really deserve it anymore? Just, because of you think that they're a better team? I would at least like to see, even if a Cinderella comes in and loses first round, I'd still like to see it just so that we have that frame of reference, that context. So with the 12 team, I do want to see at least 1 G team in there every year, if not 2. Like this year with Air Force and Tulane, I wouldn't mind seeing both in there.
It just seems like an easy way to get in the playoff. And really for a team that's not going to really make much noise in the playoff.
But they could.
Too.
I mean, it's football.
I would rather see them try to make their way in the top 12 and get in a bid, like an at-large bid, rather than just have an automatic entryway in. It just seems like too easy. It seems
So
too
you
easy.
you would then say if you were making it into the top 12, you're in.
Absolutely. If you're in the top 12,
Okay,
you're in
so
the top 12.
that's a little different than saying you're going to take it's 8 at large. If you're saying the top 12 and they can get into the top 12 and earn the way in, I think that would be a perfect mix. I would love that.
Yeah, because I think that at the end of the day, whatever the CFP rankings would be, really your top 12 schools in most years, and most years
Right.
would be the 12 that are in. Maybe there's
You're
an
right.
outlier one year, but now that we're going to less major conferences, it's probably going to shake out like that every year.
So why don't we just get rid of the 4 then and just go top 12?
I'd be open to that too.
Same here.
That's basically what you're saying. I mean, there's no reason that the A4, whoever that champion is not going to be out of the top 12. So I think they ought to have all the top 12 in and just drop the AQs.
You know what? Yeah, why not?
The AQ, though, that's about the buys. It's not about just the automatic qualifying. That's about the buys. And those conferences, the ones at the top that have the power, they want their conference champions to get that buy.
All right, fair enough. That's true.
I don't think that they're going to remove the AQ. I mean, people can not want it there. I'd certainly get that and understand that. But I don't mind seeing like 1 G5 team have an automatic qualifier to get in there, and during the first round of 8, if they lose, then they lose. If they get in, though, that's a great story.
Immaculate. Sorry to interrupt, but I'm just kind of thinking about this. So historically in the college football poll, the playoff poll, how many G5 teams have actually snuck into the top 12 before? In the actual poll, and not very many. So not many.
I'm not a big fan of polls, though. Are they generally right? Maybe, but a lot of these pollsters, they don't even pay attention. They just look at some other pollster and vote with them. Whereas with it on the field, like I said, if it's just 4 teams, no, I don't think that a G would. But if it's 12 teams all vying for the championship, I don't see a problem with giving the G's 1 spot, especially considering they have 5 votes on the board of managers. Like, you're not going to get them to vote to remove themselves. It's not going to happen. So I get it from a perspective of having the conversation of who deserves what, but you gotta at some point in time look at this and say who determines this, and it's just not going to happen.
But they're already doing the college football playoff committee. That they're already is a form of voting already. That's not going away anytime soon. So I think you can accomplish both tasks. You just get rid of the AQ for the G5s.
No, but the G conferences would never agree to that.
We're talking about G conferences. We're talking about the Mountain West plus the American plus.
It takes a unanimous vote. So even if there's just one of them that says no,
right?
The Sun Belt.
Right.
The Sun Belt. So you're telling me the best team out of the Mountain West, American Sun Belt.
I'm not telling you
playoff berth like that. That seems a little.
That's not my argument, though. I'm not speaking for them saying these guys. I'm saying they have 6 votes on there, and they only need 1 in order to stop something. So you can believe that, and I'm not going to tell someone you should think otherwise. No, I mean, if you think that they don't deserve a spot, that's cool. I'm just saying the mechanics of it, the reality of it, the logistics of it is that you are not going to remove them because of the votes.
Well, they could come up with a different way to buy them off, though. There's
They
no
still
reason
want-
to say there's no, and give them money.
They
Fine.
still want some access, though. They still want a chance for some access.
All I'm saying is we don't know, right? And until it's written
No.
down and settled, we don't know what it's going to be. And I wouldn't rule anything out. That's
But
all
they're-
I'm saying.
But the debate right now isn't to remove them. It's, do we go from 6-6 to 5-5? And look how long that's taking. Look how troublesome that is. Just to go down one. Now you want to go and tell them we're actually going to go down to 4. Then they're going to look at that and say, oh, that's just so that your A4 makes it. We know that. We get that. That's not going to happen. So, I mean, I can see someone saying they don't deserve it. That's cool. But I'm saying it's not going to happen for these 2 years. There's going to be one G5. And Oresco has been very direct in saying that they want access. They want at least one. And they were fine with 5+7 if the pack was removed from the situation. And that just happened yesterday. And lo and behold, all the commissions said, okay, we're good with 5+7 now. That's probably where we're going to be for the 2 years until 26. It's 5+7.
Every year, I think if we look over the last 10 years, there's been a top G5 school that would qualify and be in that top 12, wouldn't we?
Cincy.
We look back,
Yep.
Cincy
Cincinnati.
was.
I'll pull that up.
Yeah.
Boise State
I think
prior
every year, every
UCF.
Tulane,
UCF.
UCF.
I think every year you would have had one qualify without it being an auto qualify.
Can I address that real quick?
Please go ahead. Yeah.
Well, it's still depending on people's votes and their opinion. And the people in the committee, they of course value Power 5 or Power 4 way more than G5s.
Right.
I don't trust them. That's why I think you still need that auto qualifier, the 5+7. I would love nothing more than just 12. Whoever the top 12 teams is, that's who gets it. And if you don't like it, tough. But when it's essentially Olympic-style gymnastic voting on what you like and perceive, I don't trust that from other human beings. If
they're not getting rid of the voting, though.
That's the problem.
They're not getting rid of voting.
Yeah, if they're not getting rid of it, then you need auto qualifiers, because it's going to always be janky and always be subject to BS if it's votes. So you do need automatic qualifiers to kind of balance that.
For the last 9 years, has there been a G5 that would have qualified in the top 12?
Yeah, there would. That UCF team would have, and the Cincy team would have. But like I'm looking at right now, the current CFP rankings, the top G5 team is Tulane, an 8-1 team at number 23. That's bullcrap if they get in the playoff, guys. That's like you're bouncing a team like an Oregon State or like a Penn State because they've lost to Ohio State and Michigan. Like there's no way. It's just.
Well, from a competitive standpoint, you're right. The problem is they do represent a greater number of schools in the total than all the other A4 conferences do together. There's more of those schools out there. So technically, they're represented right now by 5 conferences. They're not gonna disenfranchise themselves unless they're given something in trade. That's the only reason they would do anything, is if they're in some other way they get access or something else in return.
I understand that. Yeah, and like I guess it's a fundamental conversation on like the place for the G5 in this new world of college football. That's a completely different conversation. There's going to be different thoughts and stuff to see if they have a place in this new world of college football with NIL, with all the money and everything else, or if they should be considered in a different league, essentially.
And I'll say this: when you look at the basketball tournament, what draws in a lot of fans that don't really care about any of the teams? It's a lot of Cinderella talk. And one thing that they want to do with college football is start to draw into that general football fandom. All the people who watch NFL but don't watch college football. And one of the things that draws in such people are Cinderellas and betting odds and things like that. So that's why I say I don't think that even the big powers in this are against one getting in when you have 12 teams. Now, competitively, will there be some years when they look bad? Probably. But, I don't think one is bad for it. As Sankey is saying, maybe having 2, yeah, I could definitely see how that's bad. But having one that has, shown that they deserve at least the shot, I just don't see how it's that bad for this. Some folks may not like it, and they may cheer when they get ran out of the stadium. But then some folks may like it if, what if they get a win? That to me might be one of the best wins of the whole tournament. If, say, Air Force this year was to get in a 12 team and get a win over some,
like at Washington or something like a 5 seed.
Yeah, that, even if it's just a small chance of happening, I think that could be fun, and I would love to see it happen. Will that happen every year? No.
There is a big difference though between Power 5, but now A4 football and basketball. The teams, they're not at all analogous.
Oh, no doubt. I'm just talking about the idea of people who have no skin in the game
13
might
guys
look at Cinderellas and say, hey, I'm going to pull for this team and watch.
I'm just saying, I'm just not using basketball as the example. I'm not sure that's the greatest.
It is, in that I'm saying you get more viewership because of Cinderellas from people who don't have skin in the game. I'm not saying
I think you're probably right there.
The chance is the same of winning. No doubt you're right there. I'm just saying if they're trying to get people to watch that normally wouldn't watch college football and they say, I want to see that Cinderella team take out one of these big money programs, they might watch that game. And if it wins, they might become, more of a watcher. I don't know. Okay. And didn't Tulane win?
Tulane, yeah, they beat USC.
Well, they beat
USC. I mean, to say that they couldn't do it, I don't know if that's.
But Tulane was number 9 last year in the final rankings in the CFP, so they would have got an automatic qualifier.
Right.
I just don't want to see some like borderline top 25 team like them G5 getting a berth.
Unless it's a playoff game, nobody shows up for those games. People sit them out. They're not. That's why the 12 is so important to get to 12 teams, because the bowl season the last decade has turned into a bunch of nothing because people are sitting out games. So I can't wait till we have more teams and there's more in the hunt, because you'll have less people sitting out. Better games.
We have 2 years to see it play out and know from actual results on whether it's a good idea or not.
Does anybody know the answer to this? Nathan Campbell says, Bomber, who controls the bowl commission? That's a group, right?
I'm not sure. The bowl
I don't know how that works anymore, because even like all of the bowls now basically aren't even having contracts with conferences, because it used to be they shifted in terms of who was part of the CFP, but now they're all going to be part of it every single year. So
I
think I don't know how to say this. I think they codified everyone that had bowl agreements with those with those bowls. And so now it doesn't matter as much. But when they first created the CFP, you were determined as a power conference based upon your bowl contracts. And that's how they determined, like, you get this bigger payout or smaller payout. It was on those contracts. And so now it's kind of gotten to this point where they're getting so big where the bowls are just, they're part of the CFP, and that's it.
All right, guys, I think we've gone a long time and had great conversations, talked about a ton of news. Let's start to wrap this up. Numbskull, we'll start with you. Is there anything you want to get out to the people? Let everybody know what's up with you.
I have a channel. It's called Numbskull News. And if you like someone who's rather direct and has a good time, I don't really care what kind of language I use. I try to keep it down a little. I'm really horrible in real life. Anyway, Numbskull News, check it out.
Thank you so much for joining us. Great to have you in the audience, and I'm glad you made it home from work.
Well, thank you for the invite. Good. I appreciate it.
Of course, always. You're always invited. Really quick, before we switch to Immaculate, you wanted to get this out really quick.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of bring light to this. It's Veterans Day, and here we are. We're going to have a brand new executive director of the college football playoff, and he's a 3-star general from the Air Force who was he ran the academy. I'm forgetting what the actual term for that is. So I find it interesting. As some people are pointing out, Air Force, they are a G5 school, so to speak. I don't know if it's quite the same because, coming out of an academy as it is coming from an actual G5 school. But I think it should be pretty impressive when he walks into that room for the first time and he's there wearing his general's outfit just like that. All those university administrators, when they see that guy come in, it's a different room at that point in time. And this is the executive director. This is the guy that once, the board of managers makes a determination on things and they need things to get done. He's the guy with their employees and their teams and all that who gets it done. So I do like the idea of them having a military guy come in to take this position. So good day for that.
Very good. And why don't you go ahead and sign off all your stuff? Tell people where to find you.
Oh, guys, if you know me on Twitter X, it's Immaculate View. Been pretty busy on there for the past few days. We have a lot going on. These court cases with the NLRB, the NCAA, the basketball team up in Dartmouth, and that case is kind of funny. We're doing a lot of talk about that going into CFP. So if this is your boat and you want to have more of it than just when we're on the show, come check me out at Immaculate View at Twitter.
Very good. Moen.
Yeah, I just want to say something about the G5 debate. I used to be a 12 best, but I would move that we have a G5, we have a 7+5 model or 5+7 model, but that there should be a prerequisite for rank for all of the qualifying teams. You have to be in the top 20. There could be years where a 7-5 Purdue upsets and wins the Big Ten championship. I don't want to see them at rank 23 getting into the CFP. So I think that's fair for everybody. You can find me on Twitter. I refuse to call it X, at Moen Show. You can find me on YouTube at Moen Show. You can find me at Ohio State drinking beer. Moen on the back of the jersey.
I love it. Thank you, Moen. You.
Yeah, that's brilliant, Moen, right there. And having the floor right there. I love that idea. Like a top 20 ranking automatically and stuff to get in, an automatic qualifier. That's never heard that before, but kudos to you for even thinking about that or even broaching that. So great stuff there. Love the conversation. Get ready for Utah to upset Washington tomorrow. Get ready. It's going to happen. U-Nation knows it's going to happen. Washington has no idea what's coming from. Physical football game, 32-31 victory. Go Utes.
All right, let's go Huskies. And everybody have a great weekend. Make sure if you want to get me your picks for the weekend, send them over to me on Twitter, and I'll bring them up next week.
One thing,
you're not misrepresented. Go ahead.
It just got reported in chat. Someone's saying that the TRO did not pass, and if that's the case, Harbaugh won't be on the sideline. So I just thought I would.
Well, there you go.
Put that out.
All right, Nitwit, PSU Nitwit. It's going to be closer win then. It's going to be closer Penn State win.
Go Michigan.
Still get it done. Oh, come on. I'm
Michigan.
Come on.
By 20.
The villain.
Everybody have a great
Michigan.
Everybody have a great weekend. Stay out of trouble. Don't drink and drive. And peace out.